Shenzhen is the largest international city in China. Many of the people you see here, you only find them in town during the week to work, but on the weekends, you'll very often see them visiting family and friends out of town. Now, the recent generations of newcomers into town do make up the majority of the population in Shenzhen, and also due to the industrial nature of the city, the average age is below 40.
As an international city, you can find all types of cuisines here, from local to Thai food, to Korean to Indian. You can also find the typical joints such as Burger King, McDonald's, and KFC. You're not going to find any English food here though. There's no fish and chips.
Here we are back at the Intel Extreme Masters Season 10 in Shenzhen, where there is no English food, no fish and chips, Sean.
No fish and chips here.
How do you feel about that?
Sad. I miss me old fish and chips. Pop down the chippy.
But we're here for the finals, Sean. How can you be sad?
I'm not sad.
Oh, just about the fish and chips.
Just about the fish and chips.
Okay. All right. Well,
when's the last time you had some fish and chips, Sean?
Last time I was in England. When was that? May.
May.
I was there for a weekend in May.
I have fish and chips more recent than you then.
Yeah? You're more English than I am?
He's more English and American than any of us, as far as we can tell. So, well, right now, it's all down to two players. It's Classic and PartinG. Don't know if these are necessarily the two, the exact matchup that many people expected, but they were definitely always in that like top 3, top 4 that people discussed, right? I mean, it was Hero, PartinG, Rain, Classic, the top 4 Protosses, the current reigning Protosses from Korea.
Yeah, I mean, those 4 players just stood out above everybody else, and it fits that they're in the finals, Chobra.
Yeah, the finals, of course, after 4 days of the Intel Extreme Masters Season 10. We did have the bone bracket with the seeding. Now Groups A and B on day 2. Groups C and D, we got through. Of course, we've had some miracle stories there. Snoop making a big run, putting up an excellent fight against TY, but TY then going forward to fall to PartinG, who now moves on forward. He doesn't get to meet the rival he wanted. He doesn't get to kick Hero in the butt, but he does want to challenge Classic, who, on the other end, Classic said, hey, I beat the other 2 Protosses. You're just next in line for me, PartinG.
I mean, like, I looked at these 4 amazing Protoss players, and I kind of have, like, PartinG, Hero, and Rain, and then I thought Classic is, like, he's really good, but he's trailing right behind. After this tournament, I've changed my opinion. He's officially part of the big boy Protoss squad, and I know a lot of fans out there will probably be like, that doesn't make sense, he should have been there already. Like, he won GSL, he recently won SSL, but I've always just kind of looked at his games, and I felt like he was missing the tiny little bit extra that some of the other guys had. But this tournament, I've been so impressed with Classic. I actually, like, he has really, forever he has impressed me. Maybe, like, he had to try a little harder because he has the Terran background, you know, so it's hard to truly accept him as one of us. But I have embraced him in my Protoss family of heart and love.
Yeah, he played
very good.
So well against Hero in that series. I mean, Hero is a fantastic player, one of the best, if not the best Protoss, but Classic just was on his level, and I thought a lot of people we're going to expect him to maybe crumble to that type of pressure, but he played so very good, and he's definitely going to give PartinG a run for his money, as much as PartinG thinks he's going to knee him and punch him in the face.
Yeah, I mean, you know, PartinG seems really excited to go into this final, but I mean, we saw PartinG in the semifinals too, right? He was confident backstage, but then he gets in the booth, and you can see him with those killer instinct dies. You can see him focusing, and this final, it's really going to mean that much. I mean, it's not just the money, it's not just the WCS points. Whoever wins here, suddenly you're guaranteed another showing at the end of the 10th season of the Intel Extreme Masters in Katowice.
Yeah, that's really important. $10,000 is really important, but I think what's also very important is for both of them will be their first Intel Extreme Masters Championship. And this is a circuit that's been running for so long now already, since 2011. You look at these guys, it's actually amazing that neither of them has won an IEM. So that is just really nice to put that on your resume, you know. They've both won. Classic hasn't won as much as PartinG, but he has won some very big ones. PartinG, of course, BWC in 2012 stands out as his big victory, but you want to be part of that IEM crew, man.
Yeah, and he almost had it in Taipei earlier on in the last season, in Season 9, but unfortunately, and he really thought he was going to win it, but life kept him away from it, and now he's got that chance.
Yeah, well, one last chance. Artosis, it comes down to this. It's Classic versus PartinG. Players are ready for the finals, ladies and gentlemen. It is one last match, a best of 7 left. I'm sure we'll get to hear more from you, Artosis, as we go into the match, but one best of 7 left between these two guys. in Shenzhen for the kickoff of the Intel Extreme Masters Season 10. Ladies and gentlemen, your finalists will be Classic and PartinG. Two guys looking for their first Intel Extreme Master title. Also, the first one to say that they are the champion in the 10th season. I mean, they can say that I kicked off the 10th season of the Intel Extreme Masters. They got their title in Shenzhen. That's a big deal, Roddy.
It is a really big deal, and I'm pumped for this, man. Like, this is going to be awesome. We're going to see some great micro from both sides. I really hope for some fair and square Blinkstalker battles where they just meet in the middle of the map. No ramps, no high ground vision, just pure micro against micro. And that's when I know I'm going to open up my popcorn bag and I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to enjoy the beautiful Protoss play. I think it's going to be a very fun series.
You know, I am also very impressed because a lot of people were a little bit wary of how much PvP they might have to watch this weekend. I mean, first of all, we didn't watch as much as we nearly thought we would, but the ones we have seen, I mean, especially that Classic versus Hero match, I don't think anyone can deny that that was a fun series to watch.
I know. I had some people, you know, Snapchatting me as well. They're like, oh, loving PvP. I'm Terran player, by the way. Loving PvP, Zerg player, by the way. So it's really cool to see some of those players of the other races really getting into it as well. And PvP has become just a much, much better matchup over the years. And when these two are going to go up against each other, I think it's going to be fireworks. I really think we're going to see a lot of cool mind games. I think we're going to see some great micro and hopefully just a nice back and forth series.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking a lot. We've had several interviews with players, Rotterdam, going into this weekend. We've had so many different talks, right? We've looked at pretty much all aspects of the game. We've looked at parts where people said, well, sometimes it's just who picks the right build order, right? You got to know the maps better, and whichever one you pick that matters. The first 2 minutes determines the game. But then we've had matches where we've been praising how players have been very reactive.
I love that you just said maps, because of course we're playing a best of 7 over here. That means no vetoes. That means there is a chance we'll see Dash Terminal pretty much for the first time this tournament. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. You know, just seeing PvP on Bridgehead. We've seen a couple of those already, but those are fun as well. We're going to see the old maps. We're going to see Iron Fortress Coda for probably the more straight up legit games. And then we're going to see some madness. I'm really pumped for Dash Terminal. I want to see Dash Terminal.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've actually, after the first, day and a half, we have been seeing kind of the same repeats, probably the ones that people are most used to, etc. But now you can't escape it, especially if it goes to that 7th game. You can't run away from anything. It might even just come down to Dash Terminal in the very last map. I mean, who knows? As we go forward into the finals, you have to have done your homework. I mean, these two players, of course, they're very experienced, but sometimes, I mean, players, you can't fault them when they say, well, obviously I spent more time in certain maps because I don't wake up for 24 hours a day. Like, I do have to sleep.
And exactly, and like, you don't always prepare for best of 7s. Once in a while you rotate through the entire map pool, but most of the time, if you play Coda in 80% of your series, it doesn't make sense to play Dash Terminal as much as you will practice on Coda. Like, no, you're going to practice more on Coda because most players won't veto that. So I think that brings an extra element of coolness to this final.
Yeah, so PartinG versus Classic, both players ready.
Both 20, right?
Oh, are they both 20? I think you might be right. Yeah, I think you might be right. We'll have to double check Classic stage because, of course, we can see right now PartinG is 20. But yeah, that's a good point, too. I mean, regardless of how old or young they might be, they are pretty much, I mean, they've kind of gone through very similar runs and whatnot. Of course, PartinG a little bit better known globally, but in Korea, Classic's had his fair share. But there is still, I think, that stigma where Classic and his fans and the community overall feel that he needs to prove himself a bit more to be accepted into the big boy club, especially within Korea. I mean, Korean fans can be very harsh about your successes, and I think he's looking for that chance. I mean, if he goes back here, it's a huge run.
It's also because in some of his finals he's played teammates, and people often look at like, well, whenever you have a final against a teammate, that's just a lot of mind games and stuff. That's not real. Or some people have discredited his run through the GSL back then a little bit, and now some people said like, well, in the final against Dream, he was a massive underdog, by the way, and he did win. He played very cool, had some really cool builds, of course, but this is the first time where he goes up against someone who's not on his team. This is PartinG. PartinG is a multiple tournament champion. When you defeat PartinG in a tournament final, you've truly deserved the title.
Oh, yeah. And to say that, I mean, it's not just PartinG. Again, I want to keep bringing this point up. We kept talking about like the top 4 Protosses, and suddenly we're looking at a phase where Classic could have defeated all of his rivals and truly stand at the top. Not just because he's the winner, but because he actually went through each one of them throughout the phases of the tournament.
I mean, he played against Rain with his tournament life on the line already in Group B a couple days ago, when Snoot surprisingly won that group. And I really thought that was going to be the end of Classic. I was like, that's, you know, to me, Rain is a big favorite in the PvP series, but, you know, he proved me wrong multiple times throughout the weekend. He's shown us that he's willing to adapt in the middle of a series. He's shown us some of the best early game micro that I've ever seen. And I know it sounds so simple. It's like, well, when you only have 3 units, how hard can it be? It just adds a whole new layer to micro. You know, you're thinking ahead. You're thinking of every single pixel where units can move. And Classic is such a master. And I do hope we'll at least see these 2 players go up against each other once early game, you know, with a little bit of proxy gate shenanigans, because PartinG is so well known for his micro too, but I want to see who has a better early game micro.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of those, and I mean, maybe we're about to see why Hero wasn't satisfied with his micro earlier in the weekend, because he was like, you know, maybe you guys thought it was good, but I actually wasn't satisfied with how that was. Maybe Classic and PartinG are about to show us why. Maybe they will be able to show us this is how you micro your stars. This is how you outplay your opponents when you're kind of on even footing and just secure that win in the first 5-10 minutes. Classic and PartinG, I mean, and again, I mean, we talked about in best of 3s how the first map matters a lot, Roddy, but in a best of 7, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, in PvP, it can sometimes be like, well, you know, whatever, because there are many ways to win or lose a game of PvP. I've said this yesterday, and I truly believe that I don't think there's ever a moment where you're satisfied with a PvP loss, because, you know, your opponent has the same units available as you do, so it's like, there's not really like, oh, I didn't really expect that. You should sort of always expect it, but, you know, there are so many maps. Some maps just suit your style better, and when it comes to 4-player maps in PvP, it can be a little bit random. Sometimes you just face an uphill battle right off the get-go, and then it's pretty easy to let those games go. So yes, it is important, but I wouldn't necessarily put my money on the guy who wins the first map. For some reason, I still think that PartinG is going to win this, but I wouldn't mind it at all if Classic proves me wrong, like he's done already multiple times this weekend.
I think most of our viewers would have to agree with you on that. I do for sure, Rotterdam, and also something just funnily enough. I mean, this, of course, it doesn't matter too much now that we're already in the finals, but when we look back on the weekend, both of these players started the weekend feeling a little bit sick and under the weather, right? They were like, oh, shoot, my group stages, like, I'm feeling a little, like, of course, Classic said he had a stomach ache. We had PartinG who had a cold, and they just weren't feeling well, and they were a little bit worried about their group stage matches, but they're here. They're down to 1 best of 7 to determine who will be the champion of the very first stop of the Intel Extreme Masters Season 10. Who's going to kick off and secure that very first spot, of course, in Katowice for the World Championship between PartinG and Classic, and to bring us the final match of the weekend. It will be Apollo and Artosis.
Thank you so much, Chobra and Rotterdam. This has been an epic tournament indeed, and now we'll have an epic finish. I'm already excited from what I'm seeing here, being chatted in the game. PartinG starting his shenanigans. Apollo, are you ready?
I am ready, Artosis.
Let's get into the game.
You missed the best part,
yeah,
guys.
You guys missed the best part, sorry. Well, up in the top left of Cactus Valley, PartinG.
It's his first Intel Extreme Masters final. He's played in 2 semis before this, but he's finally got to the top. Can he put the cherry on the very top?
Or will it just be some sprinkles? I don't know. In the bottom left, his opponent, a double champion in Korea, it is Classic.
Star League this year, GSL last year.
Maybe an IEM this year.
Maybe. Both of these players the first time in an Intel Extreme Masters final. And one of them will be a first-time Intel Extreme Masters champion as we enter the 10th edition of the Intel Extreme Masters. 10 years of awesome esports, and they kick it off.
It is a very long time indeed. In fact, PartinG was 10 years old when Intel Extreme Masters was first running its events. Think about that for a moment.
I know, I just was actually. And 10 years later, he's in the grand finals.
Yeah, who'd have thought? Probably him. He's always been a very confident player.
He thinks he's going to win this, but I really don't believe it's going to be as easy as he does think so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Classic is someone we just keep on underestimating.
Yep.
The guy has already won a couple big championships that, well, PartinG has not. So we're going to have to see. I mean, PartinG, of course, has gotten to a finals of a GSL, a fantastic finals, in fact, just very recently. But still the championship evading him there. He'd love to pick up an Intel Extreme Masters, though.
Well, Classic's inside the main base of PartinG, sent out a very early probe scout and did go in the correct direction. He's having a little bit of a zap here and there. And a good look and feel of his opponent's opening build order.
I think we're going to see a lot of mind games here, Apollo, I have to say. It's like these two players, both very clever players, both very good at micro. I would give the micro end of it to PartinG slightly over Classic. But Classic can be a very tricky player and immediately throws down a Stargate.
Which PartinG's probe's going to go straight in and spot this immediately.
That's very good for him to be able to check that out. Now, what does PartinG do to counterplay this? Does he throw up his own Stargate and go Phoenix? Does he go with a Twilight Council? Maybe throws down a Nexus?
In the previous series, when Classic played against Hero, he opened up exactly like this, and he ended up cancelling the Stargate to throw down the Twilight, but he's going to let it finish this time.
Well, it just throws up a second gateway here, and it's like almost kind of, okay, a second and a third gateway. So it looks like he wants to actually do a 3-gate rush here.
Yep. Try to catch Classic before he's really ready, because he's chosen an Oracle and it's on its way, but is that really going to help out against a lot of Stalkers on the defense?
It certainly will not, and you know, I think a big part of this is because Classic actually skipped the Mothership core to get the Oracle super fast. So a 3-gate attack is actually a really good idea by PartinG.
Putting the pressure on very early on in this best of 7 series. Here's the probe, here's the pylon. Mothership core is going to stay at home for PartinG to actually deal with the Oracle he's expecting to come into play. Where is the Oracle going?
That's a kind of funny direction. You know what? I bet he's looking for the pylon.
Well, he's not going to see anything. He slightly misses that probe and pylon over here. And the attack is going to begin soon. There is a robotics facility behind this for PartinG to make sure he is safe in case this isn't a Stargate. Of course, it still can be cancelled. But 3 Stalkers being warped in to join the original 2. And at the moment, Classic's defense is just 3 Stalkers. They do have the high ground advantage, but that's all he has at this point.
Yeah, that's not nearly enough. And, he's going to be able to get that probe. He misses getting the probe. That's actually kind of a big mistake there.
All right, 5v5. 5 Stalkers versus 5 probes are going to have to come off the line. 2 has already gone down. And PartinG has a pylon inside the main base. The 6th Stalker joins, and that will give him also high ground vision, this pylon.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. We do have that Oracle flying in, not really getting as much done as it would like. 8 probes already going down for Classic here. We see PartinG moving up forward with his Stalkers. He has more Stalkers and great micro, and this game looks like it's over.
Just like that, Autosis. A quick decision and a quick win for PartinG. Classic has nothing left. All of his probes are off the line, and PartinG continues to warp in, his economy completely untouched. And PartinG starts this like he wants to end it. This is a very dominating and very easy victory.
Oh, wow. Absolutely phenomenal there by PartinG. A really quick decision to go for a 3-gate rush against a skipped Mothership core, paying off hugely. Of course, a little mistake by Classic there. If he had sniped that probe coming up, that entire defense looks different.
Well, that's definitely not a good way to start a best of 7 finals for Classic, but he also didn't start the best of 5 series against Hero very well either.
No, that's quite true.
But he did manage to turn that one around, so hopefully he can do this. And he doesn't want to let PartinG get too much into his head, especially with those units dancing towards the end. You know what PartinG's like.
Yeah, indeed. I think we all know what PartinG's like by now. Been watching his antics for years now. But Classic knows how to stay calm, cool, and collected under pressure here.
Yeah, it's not the first best of 7 he's ever been in, Autosis.
No, certainly not. Many best of 7s for this man. Many resulting in victory and championship.
Just one final series left. It's a little bit sad at the same time. We've had a lot of fun here in Shenzhen.
Yeah, I don't want it to end, actually. This has been actually one of my favorite events that I've done in a very long time.
Yeah, it's been so much fun out here in China. You can't quite experience the same as we have done via the stream, but trust me, the Chinese crowd is a lot of fun. And of course, being here at the Cartoon and Animation Festival, that's been one of a kind.
That is a fact. Apollo, it looks like map number 2 going to be Terraform. Let's get into this game. In the top left, we have our Protoss player winning game number 1. It is PartinG. And his opponent in the bottom left, he's going to want to win this one. It is Classic. A Protoss among Protoss. Wants to be the king of the race. If he beats PartinG here, I think he's got a pretty solid claim for it.
Where would you say Classic is in the rankings of Protoss players?
I think if you don't name him as like a top 5, then you're really disrespecting what he's done at this point, especially at this tournament. This is the one that has put me over the edge as a Classic fan, to be honest. I mean, he kind of snuck in a GSL against a teammate in the finals, kind of, you know, it's like, oh, are you better than this? I'm not so sure. But then he won SSL just recently, and it was like, oh, wow, that was pretty clever how you did that.
Yep.
But here he is, like, beating Rain, you know, taking out CJ Hero. Are you kidding me? CJ Hero, that's insane.
Yeah.
Beating Lucera out, who's been playing very well lately. I think that we have to consider him a top 5 Protoss.
Yeah, Classic has had a lot of success in the last 12 months. I mean, of course, he got that GSL win towards the beginning of the summer last year. He also got top 4 in Casper Cup. He got top 4 at BlizzCon. I mean, he played at the global finals at the end of the year, and he got top 4. And then, of course, he went on to win the Star League earlier this year, as you said. But yeah, still somehow sneaks.
What do you have to do, to be recognized? But this is the power of Classic. He's, you know, maybe his play style or his interviews aren't quite as memorable as some of these other guys, but he is making such a name for himself right now.
Well, this pylon is something to remember him by this time, Artosis. He has a pylon in the center of the map, and it looks like he is going to be putting a Stargate over there. And he's going to try and rush PartinG with a Stargate. Obviously, Oracle coming from that.
I would hope so. We have PartinG not really deciding it, but he's scouting rather quickly, and he should be able to identify that there could be a proxy.
But where is it?
Yeah, well, these new maps, sometimes you don't really have it mapped out where these proxies all go.
PartinG's having a look inside this main base, and he's coming down to the bottom. So where's that pylon? What are you doing, Classic?
It's like, wait, maybe it's over here. Did I miss it? And you see, he checks all the way.
Yeah.
This is what he's doing, guys. He's looking specifically for a second pylon right now.
He hasn't found it, and he's going to check on the natural to see if it's a mind game, if it's just hidden down here, and now he's going to start to realize what's going on. The mothership core is on its way out into the middle of the map to have a look what he can find, and right now...
Ooh, it's on a collision course with that Stargate, and that's a huge deal. No, it's not. Oh, wait, no, it should just... Whoa. Barely doesn't see the Oracle.
Well, he knows something's up. He just doesn't know where it is. He's checking to the top right-hand side with his probe to see if it's over there. He's having a look with the mothership core, and even a secondary probe has been sent out. That's having a look around. Oh, no, Stalker, sorry. Having a look around. Chrono boosting another Stalker. He knows something isn't right, so very good instinct here from PartinG. But can he stop this Oracle from dealing damage?
Well, he's not really in position for it right now. He's going to have to bring back this mothership core. He's going to need to defend this as best he can. On goes the Oracle.
He's going to try and get a wraparound on that Stalker. No, he's not. He's going to pull the probes back. Only 3 probes killed.
That was a little bit of a blunder, I feel like, from Classic. I feel like he should have been able to get 4 or 5 probes there pretty easily, but PartinG pulling his probes so quickly, bringing those Stalkers back up, was able to push it out.
No photon overcharge used yet. There's a second Oracle from Classic. Double damage time. There is a photon overcharge. PartinG a little bit slow to activate it at this moment, and it does go down, and he is going to get a kill on this Oracle. It sacrifices itself for 2 additional probes.
Yeah, not as many as you really want from that first Oracle, but having the second, that might throw him off. He has not shown it yet, so when that wears off and PartinG is across the map, I think that's Classic's plan. He's going to fly right in there and kill as many probes as he can.
Well, PartinG has Blink almost completed. Classic quite a way away. He's found the pylon and Stargate. Obviously, Classic now is saying, wait a minute, you've got 3 Stalkers not in the middle of the map. And this second Oracle is going to be a right surprise. He's going to lose a lot this time.
Yeah, he certainly is. This is a very smart mind game from Classic here. We don't see this too often, but when we do, if you trick him as hard as he's tricked Parting, it can really pay off here. Here we go. The Oracle coming into the middle line. How many can he actually kill? Only one Stalker being warped in. The second now, a little bit of miss micro there, but he is getting a lot of probes.
Yeah, 6, 7 have gone down, and he's going to try and get a couple more. You just want to try and get as much as you can at this point. He's got 8, and he gets a 9th kill.
Wow.
Towards the end, he's going to lose the Oracle, but the Oracle's done its job. PartinG has lost a lot of his probes and a lot of economy, and he has Stalkers on the other side of the map, but look, Classic's already got more than him.
That's right, and Blink on the way as well. When this Blink finishes, PartinG could be in trouble, but he's going for a Dark Shrine, so he's going to see if he can pick up a quick win like that. It's a little bit hard, though. The Oracle, of course, can detect.
But the Stargate's unpowered, Artos. You have to build another one. Stargate in the middle of the map. He lost both Oracles now.
Okay, never mind.
But he does start the robotics facility. So there is the safety net there where he can get an observer out.
Indeed. Well, that Dark Shrine, it could do some damage, but I'm really liking Classic's spot, obviously. He's killed off 14 probes total. Yeah, his Oracles are dead. Yeah, he doesn't have detection right this second, but he's preparing for every single little thing that PartinG could be doing. When you're up that many probes, you can absolutely do something very safe, like get that observer out right away.
Oh, no, this is really bad news for PartinG. Great blink down there by Classic. And he's going to chase PartinG all the way home.
Very cute move there by PartinG, having those destructible rocks set up so that he could escape from his opponent.
Well, even if
probably go Blink.
Yeah, that was a nice move. I was just saying, even if there is an observer, where are the Stalkers going to be? Here's the Dark Temple warp in, but...
Well, yeah, actually, Classic does not have a mothership core, something he's been skipping quite often. In fact, his observer, well, okay, he sees it, and his Stalkers are coming back, so shouldn't really take very much damage at all from these. And that is another huge pickup here.
Oh, he even blocks the Dark Templar from getting in there.
Literally 0 kills from 2 Dark Templars.
And PartinG's in a bit of trouble. Yeah, that's his entire army at this point, with the amount of money off one base he threw into the Dark Shrine and Dark Templar. 5 Stalkers to 10. And at this point, Classic is in a position where he can just move over to the other side of the map and pick up a win, but he is going to slow this down a little bit. He's taking his expansion.
Yeah, you know what? I think that this is okay for now. Get that second observer out, build a few more units, like really guarantee this victory where there's just no way out of it for PartinG.
Yeah, and now Classic's starting to make a move to the other side of the map. He's currently at the halfway point, blinking forward, and more units are on their way. I'm sure there's going to be a probe and a pylon following very shortly. And there it is. And this should be a nice and easy pickup for Classic.
I don't know what PartinG could possibly do here to stay alive. His natural nexus, not even close to done. Sure, he could use a photon overcharge, but the amount of Stalkers here won't even care about that.
Unfortunately for PartinG, not the best of time in the second map, but a great start here for Classic in the finals, being able to pick up a map. He should be able to do this. He blinks in, and there's nothing here. Takes down the mothership, and that is it. GG's called. A nice and easy pickup for Classic. Ties the series up 1 apiece now.
All right, that gives us a best of 5 left here. And very good play by Classic that time. PartinG, though, was a little bit unlucky not seeing the Stargate. His mothership core came within really like 1 pixel of seeing that Stargate. And if he sees that right then, right there, he's in a little bit better position. He's more on top of it. To be able to take out a pylon earlier. It was really the second Oracle, I think, that won that game for Classic.
Yeah, really good decision from Classic. And now he finds himself in a much better position. Looking back, the last time these met, it was in Taipei in the quarterfinals. PartinG took a 3-0 very easily. And Classic just fell apart. He was making mistakes. He couldn't keep himself together. But a different story this time around.
Yeah, he's certainly grown a lot as a player since then. You know, I think Classic has always had a very steady upward movement in his skill overall. I think that's part of the reason why we've kind of neglected him. Like, yeah, he won a GSL, but he wasn't as good as the other Protosses at that moment. But his time has truly come here in the finals of Intel Extreme Masters Shenzhen.
And a slip up here from PartinG would be disastrous, especially the way that he's been talking about how this is his tournament from the very beginning. It's not a way you want to go out. Classic putting up the fight.
Indeed he is. It looks like Coda is going to be our next map, Apollo. Game is starting up, so we'll get into that in just a moment. Get out there, tell your friends, the Intel Extreme Masters Finals is going on right now. The winner here will be at the World Championships in Katowice next year.
All right, here we are, loaded into the game. Down on the bottom right-hand side of Coda is the red Protoss player. It's PartinG. One step at a time.
And his opponent in the top left, coming back in game 2, it's Classic.
He used a classic opening in that previous match with the proxy Stargate. How many more are we going to see?
That's a good question. I think on the newer maps, proxies are just so strong because people haven't played them enough to really know the ins and outs of scout patterns to find them. So maybe not on a map like Coda. I think that's, they've played a lot more games on this map. It's a bit of an older map. But maybe as we go into some of these other wild maps.
Well, Classic just now had a quick look inside his main base, seeing if there was any gateways or pylons there that he'd have to be worrying about. That's not the case.
I do recall during Taipei more than a few proxy gates from PartinG against Classic. Definitely something you want to check, especially with the type of micro PartinG has. He's the type of guy you are not going to fend him off if you have less units.
And the opening's going to be the same throughout this series here, unless we are going to see structures in the middle of the map like that previous game. It's always going to be this double gas opener, which sets the Protoss up to be able to swing whichever way they want to choose with their tech choice. More than often, it's usually Twilight Council and Blink is the more common of everything, right, Autosis?
Yeah, certainly the case. Blink is just so versatile in this matchup. Once upon a time, you could open up with a quick robotics and use those Immortals, but with the strength of Oracle against a build like that, that's all but extinct. We're definitely going to see Stargates. We're definitely going to see Blink. Those are the two main ones. With some offshoots, sometimes you'll see a fast Nexus on these maps, not as much. Sometimes you'll see a fast Dark Templar build. The best of 7, wouldn't be surprised if we saw one of those.
Yep. PartinG enters the main base now of Classic, and Classic reverting away from just choosing a tech choice straight before adding on any units. He's getting his Stalker and Mothership Core out, so he is going to be playing a lot more tighter with his cards to his chest, not really revealing what he's up to compared to how he's been playing Protoss versus Protoss this weekend. And now the choices are going to be made. With the units coming out, the denial of the scouting has happened. And what are the choices going to be?
We'll see just momentarily. Stargate versus Twilight, the classic battle of Protoss versus Protoss right now, with PartinG choosing that Stargate. Classic, of course, with the Twilight. I gotta ask your opinion. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Oracle into Blink. I think it's a really nice build against Blink itself.
I like that style too. Being able to get that Oracle into the mineral line, slow your opponent down, and then use the Mothership Core to buy time to get the same amount of Stalkers and Blink upgrade out is nice, but PartinG is gone from Stargate into Robotics Facility.
Could this mean Phoenix, or do you think he'll still open Oracle?
I do not know. Time will tell.
Indeed. Well, we do have a very fast Nexus coming down from PartinG as well.
Wow. Very exposed build order from PartinG.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have any units, doesn't have any gateways. He's choosing Phoenixes over Oracle here. If there was to be a very sudden attack from Classic, which at the moment there is not planned, then he could be in trouble. But looking at the minimap a little bit, is that a probe out in the map?
That is
from
in fact
both?
a probe from both players here.
And Classic
In fact, they might run into each other. Oh no, just barely not.
Yeah. Classic is the one with the tools to be aggressive. He has Blink, he has 3 gateways, he's got a robotics facility to be a little bit safe, but one of the most important parts here, I think if that probe from Classic, what is its plan? Is it to scout out the Nexus? Is it to place a pylon close?
It has to place a pylon close, I think. I think the other pylon is just kind of like a cool strategic place to put a pylon, but I would be surprised when he has his 3 gates finishing not to put down a proxy pylon before checking the natural.
Well, Classic just scouted the Nexus of PartinG now, and he's moving down with the probe zone to build his own, but he has to kind of do something with these Stalkers that he's built.
Yeah.
He's kind of slowed himself down. I mean, the Nexus has completed for PartinG, and it hasn't even begun yet for Classic.
That is true. This could be a little bit tough, a little bit tricky for him. He does warp in that pylon. He has to put on some sort of pressure with his Stalkers here. He does have Blink, so even though there's Immortals, which do very well against Stalkers out for PartinG, he still has some mobility. He still has something to work with here.
Well, 3 Stalkers, going to have a quick look up this ramp, see what we're playing around with. Photon Overcharge activated immediately. Chases those 3 out, and the Stargate out in the middle of the map here from Classic.
Ooh, I like that.
Wow.
I actually like that a lot. To go into a proxy Oracle against a build like this. Now, of course, there's Phoenixes, but if the Phoenixes are out of position, he can actually get a bunch of probe kills right away, maybe get the army out of position, and a big blink attack can do something then.
It's only 2 Phoenix, though. Not exactly super effective at killing off a lot of probes very fast.
No, certainly not. Still going to get whatever edge that he can at the moment. Kind of doing a little bit of scouting down here as well.
Yep. Picks up 2 probes, going to get a 3rd. And a 4th. And then the energy now is spent. At the same time, though, Classic. Yeah, forces Nexus Cannon. Classic's on the other side being a little bit aggressive. Poking forward, taking a little bit of damage to his first initial Stalker from these Double Immortals. And Classic's going to go into the main base with his Stalkers and then Oracle to the natural by the seams.
And look at this, he's going to go ahead and start targeting down this Immortal, but there's 3 Immortals out. He's not going to be able to really get anything done there. Not as effective as he would have hoped, and it looks, oh my god, he actually scouted that there's an Oracle on the way. Everything looks really good for PartinG right now.
Is he going to take damage? The Oracle is going into the main base. 2 Phoenixes come back, and they find it. Great positioning from PartinG to bring that back, and the Oracle goes down after a single probe kill.
Wow. This is a really bad place for Classic to be in this game. The Proxy Oracle doing just about nothing. The Blink Harassment doing actually nothing.
Yeah, he's going to try again, or is he? He's got his Observer in position ready to go. He blinks up. 3 Immortals very close. Doesn't see that, though.
Yeah, waiting for that Blink to recharge so he can move out immediately if need be.
And straight back out again. No harassment, unfortunately.
Is that like 1 probe kill?
Yeah, 1 probe kill for all those Stalkers and that Oracle.
Really, really tough spot here for Classic.
Well, he's found the Mothership Core.
All right. A little bit of a start. Going to be able to pick off one of these Phoenixes as well. And he's going to lose another Stalker, unfortunately.
With +1 attack now started for PartinG, and also his first Colossus, whereas the Robotics Bay only just been put down by Classic.
He is just behind really in every way here. PartinG has really quite shut him down.
Very solid opening from PartinG, and unfortunately for Classic, this was such a greedy opening for PartinG, and he just wasn't able to punish it. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't do anything about it. And now PartinG's getting away with this greed that he ever so wanted at the start of this match. And a good position he's found himself now as we get closer and closer to the mid-game.
Well, that one Phoenix going to go around and scout. 1 Phoenix is pretty weak by itself, but still works very well for checking out what your opponent is doing. Right now, if we look at the types of armies these guys have, that favors PartinG a lot as well. And that's because he has 3 Immortals, which are going to counter all of these Stalkers that Classic has made. And that just does not bode well for him. That's 18 extra supply that just won't be very effective against PartinG.
So at this moment, PartinG coasting with his lead. What's the best way for Classic to find a way back in, or find a way to equalize?
Oh man, that is a tough one, isn't it?
I guess Stalker harassment is a good start, but he hasn't been able to get anything from this yet. And
as you
can see, he's losing this too.
Brutal, yeah. The only thing that he really has on PartinG is Blink right now, and mobility in general. Like, PartinG is basically building up to a very powerful death ball type of composition that will win all battles heads up.
Yeah.
And that's why he's taking a 3rd base, because it's going to take a while to get there. He needs to get that more economy. Maybe Classic can do some more harassment, whether that's Blink Stalkers, maybe a Warp Prism at some point. It's going to be tough, though. It's definitely an uphill battle.
PartinG's army in the middle of Coda. Still majority Stalkers and just a single Colossus. He's got a 10 supply army advantage over PartinG, but does he have the sheer quality? Because a lot of that, as you said, is Stalkers, and there are Immortals to stop them.
Well, Classic, he's about to have Thermal Lance. Of course, PartinG has that already. Yeah, I don't feel like he has what he needs here.
No. And PartinG's going to back off. The only one thing I guess Classic could do is blink into the main base, maybe find a position to bring PartinG there and then move his main army to cancel the third, it would be a nice move.
Yeah, that would actually be really nice. That's actually a great idea. And I do want to point out he has a full energy mothership core, whereas we don't have enough energy on that mothership core PartinG for any spells. So that is a gigantic difference.
Yeah, Classic's in the main base with the Blink Stalkers. He brings his other squad of units towards this third base, and he's going to start his work on the Nexus. He blinks out with the Stalkers, and this is what his move is taking shape to be, and it's working.
Yeah, this is a really smart, really fantastic move because he's utilizing his mobility. He's saying, okay, what do I have to work with? I have Blink Stalkers. Okay, go into the main base and hit somewhere else. Very well done by Classic.
Yeah, very nice move by Classic. Really, really nice. And Stalkers go into the main base again as PartinG was chasing the army out. And he's going to get the robotics facility.
Well, that's a great building to be able to pick off. That's really going to stifle the Colossus production here for PartinG. Really the most important unit in the matchup in the late game.
Nice moves by Classic, and this is exactly what we needed to see from him. A way to draw himself back into this.
And I would say that that's exactly what he's done here. I don't really put him at very much of a deficit. Still a slightly better army overall for PartinG.
Yep.
But everything just got really evened up from what we saw Classic do here.
He's going to take a cannon as well as 2 probes. And is now going to blink out. He's moving forward again with his army. And he's got quite a lot of units here. +2 attack now completing for PartinG. That's going to help out a lot. 3 Colossus for Classic. Still at an army advantage. 3 Archons are going to soak up a lot of the damage output.
I think that that's the real problem here. They're pretty close in Zealot numbers. Like Classic has a little bit more.
Yep.
And he does have 1 more Colossus, which is kind of a big deal. In fact, if he waits, he has 2 more Colossus, 1 just coming from his base now.
Well, this army's now been seen. PartinG has an observer on top of it. Not going to make the same mistake twice. But he's still having to split his forces up to deal with the Stalkers inside the main base and the main army on this left-hand side. PartinG splits his army up very nicely with some in the main and on third.
You know, this is really some brilliant play from Classic. He is going to hit with 5 Colossus after killing that robotics and disallowing PartinG from having as many. So right now, PartinG is in trouble. He's down 2 Colossus at the moment. And again, that is the important unit in this matchup for the late game.
+2 now completed for Classic, so they're going to be equal in upgrades for this fight if it's going to take place. So it looks like it is. Classic looking for an angle. He's going to dive in here.
All right, let's see it. The Zealots all charging towards each other. We have Time Warps going down at the moment. Oh, those hallucinated Colossus actually get targeted down and take a lot of damage. PartinG's Colossus in the back taking no damage so far.
And it's 5 Colossus versus 3 for Classic. This is pretty nice. He's moving forward. He's got an angle onto this army, and he's going to charge up this ramp. The 4th Colossus comes out from PartinG, but is it going to be enough? A lot of these units are so low health for Classic. One of the Colossus goes down, but it is not going to be enough for PartinG. And Classic, from losing the first map, is going to flip it upside down and actually lead this series 2 games to 1. This is it.
Yeah, PartinG is gone. He is out of here, microing his heart out, but there is absolutely no way to hold on. Some fantastic, brilliant maneuvering from Classic to come back from such a deficit.
Really good play once again displayed here by Classic, like he did against the 3-time champion Hero in the semis. He's doing now against PartinG in the finals.
Really, really impressive play. You know, when we were talking about how does he actually come back here, what can he do with these Blink Stalkers to make this work? And he found a way in. Blink in, make a few more Blink Stalkers so he can deal that damage, hit that third base, and to pick off the robotics and then follow it up with a 5 Colossus timing attack. Nothing short of brilliance out of Classic here today.
No smiles and no games anymore for PartinG. No more unit dancing. He's now trailing in this series. Losing this next map is so important to not have happen for PartinG. To go down 3-1 is very, very difficult.
Guess what map it is, Apollo?
I don't know, Artosis. I'm going to guess. Dash and Terminal.
It's Dash and Terminal.
Oh, I got it right.
Look, this is definitely a map that PartinG can win on. This is a wild and crazy map. In fact, we have not seen it in 1 game so far this weekend because it is that crazy.
Yeah. This is one of the wildest maps that we can play on. And we haven't seen it at all, as you've said. If you've just tuning in now, by the way, this is, of course, the Grand Finals of the Intel Extreme Masters. If you've missed anything, you can go to plays.tv and check out some of the highlights and some of the last couple of matches that we've seen here at the Intel Extreme Masters, and we've had a couple of really good ones as well. So
Yeah, definitely have.
all right, big game coming up now for both sides. If Classic is able to win this one, he is a single game away from becoming an Intel Extreme Masters champion. PartinG needs to prevent this from happening. He needs to equalize it. It's very difficult to come back from a series when you start to let it slip away from you.
Well, you know, PartinG is one of those guys that can flip a series on its head and come back with 3 kills in a row, but that is not what he's going to want to do. Looks like the map is loading, everybody. This finals of Shenzhen, an epic one for sure. Over here in the right-hand side of Dash and Terminal, our Protoss player, it is PartinG.
No more fun and games. This is the real deal.
His opponent in the top center from SK Telecom leading 2-1. It is Classic.
Looking like a brick wall. No emotions, no worry.
Indeed. Always the case with Classic. Very stoic player. Doesn't let anything get into his head, and this is why he is possibly about to become a 3-time champion in StarCraft 2.
All right, what is going to be the strategy on this map? For any of you that don't know, this is one of the, as mentioned before, one of the wildest maps that we have out there. There's gold bases in the center, there's gold bases further down to the bottom left. We see all these different types of crazy strategies, but can you really utilize the wildness of the map in Protoss versus Protoss?
I think what you can utilize is how close the mains are to each other, but for all the gold bases, the island expand and stuff, I don't think it'll ever really get to that.
Do you think we'll see something crazy then?
Yes, I think that we're going to see a lot of aggression.
Air strategies?
I think so.
Because of how close it is?
We could see Phoenix versus Phoenix, absolutely. A big possibility. And when it's Phoenix versus Phoenix, things get crazy. Either you add stalkers and go for a kill right then, or it's non-stop Phoenix until like 3 bases. And it's pretty exciting either way. Yeah, that's an interesting hidden.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to actually use it or not, or if he's looking to play mind games with Classic to show a hidden pylon from his main base. But both players going to have a look around. PartinG going to have... It's kind of an interesting way that he's taken.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is probably a tough one for both of them. I do believe that this will be the least played map for both of these players in the entire pool. It's just one that doesn't get picked very often.
Well, Classic inside the main base. PartinG is going to have a look around. PartinG has a probe on the other side of the map. And what is he doing with it? Is it just a scout? It seems so. Inside he goes. He's going to see the Stargate very early on. Classic going back to how we like to play in previous Protoss versus Protoss games. Get that Stargate straight away no matter what before any units. And it is spotted.
And this has been a good mind game as well, by the way. We do see right now that we have PartinG kind of scouting all over that main base, trying to find that additional pylon. Let's not forget that before or Classic rather, scouting for that additional pylon, sorry, but that's like a really big deal to not be able to find it. He might be thinking, oh, there could be a proxy Stargate here, there could be just about anything, but this is actually coming from PartinG as a 3 gateway rush. So if he is going Oracle, this is actually a big deal. I was going to say, he might think it's proxy Stargate and go Phoenix, which could make that very difficult to hold, but going for that Oracle.
I mean, this is just a repeat of what we saw in map number 1, where PartinG just smashed his way through. And he's looking to repeat that again. And we could have a very similar scenario. Well, I mean, there's an extra gateway coming in. The mothership core is here, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the one big difference, I would say, is that we have a mothership core here. So that mothership core should be able to buy him some time. That doesn't mean that he's going to just hold it and win, but it'll give him time to get some more units out himself.
Not enough energy on the mothership core of PartinG, though. The Oracle flies in and there's nothing he can do about it.
Oh, man, that is absolutely brutal already.
Wow.
4 probe kills, 5 now. Damaging a whole bunch of them.
A whole bunch of them. This is disastrous here.
There, but yeah, 9 kills at this point. Oh man, Classic is just killing him off right now.
Oh, this is absolutely disastrous here for PartinG. I don't even know what he can do at this point. He's lost 11 probes at the 6-minute mark. And as much as we talked about how this is a must-win for PartinG, not to let it go down 3-1, Classic, through a simple maneuver, has just gone over the other side of the map, got an Oracle in his opponent's main base, destroyed the mineral line, and now it's as simple as activate Photon Overcharge, sit pretty with your better economy, build more units of PartinG, and kill him off.
That's right, and PartinG doing his best to micro anything he can here, losing a bunch of Stalkers. But there's no options left. At 10 Harvesters, he absolutely cannot support an economy to build any more units. Really.
And the Oracle's still alive. Once that Photon Overcharge goes down, there's no units here. PartinG's going to lose even more, and here we go. This is game, and PartinG is going to go down. Classic, though, on the other side of things. What an absolutely fiery turnaround in this Grand Finals. And here, one final defense from Classic. And he's going to see himself go into the rubber match and the decider match where he is now one game away from being the Industry Masters champion. Now he's dancing in PartinG's face.
All right. Classic showing PartinG a little bit of his own medicine there. This is pretty awesome, man. He's up 3-1.
Wow.
This would be his first win overseas.
Can't believe that he danced units there. PartinG dancing units in the first map where he won, and now it's 3-1 to Classic.
Do you think PartinG might be falling apart a little bit here, Apollo?
I think so. Things are not going his way, as he's just run into Classic, and Classic just absolutely solid. No mistakes. He's looking fantastic. He's looking like a champion, and he almost is one.
Yeah, just needs that one game. And being on match point as Protoss, he gets 3 tries in PvP to knock down PartinG. And like 3-0ing someone in PvP is very, very difficult. And that's exactly what PartinG has to do if he wants to be the champion here.
The amount of choices now that Classic can gamble with, he can use strategies which you shouldn't be using often because of how much of a risk they can be. He can be greedy, he can be completely aggressive with no defense at home, and it just doesn't matter anymore. Because if it works, he's won. But at the same time, he must not be complacent at this point too. No. I know he is 3-1 up, this is a fantastic position to be in, but he can't be complacent.
That is a fact. PartinG wants this championship so bad. He's been talking about it. He's been talking so much trash, saying absolutely he's going to win. He's already the champion. This is no problem. He's not screwing around anymore. He is just going for it. And Classic is tearing it away from him. Classic, by the way, already beat Rain, already beat Hero, and here he is up 3-1 against PartinG.
All right. Up here to the top left-hand side is the red Protoss player. It's PartinG, who has a lot of work cut out for him now. If he wants to be a winner, you've got to show us why.
And his opponent in the top left, up 3-1, looking for his first IEM victory. It's Classic. Becoming an absolute monster. This guy has been a pro gamer now for about 7 years, just about 7 years now. Was a #1 draft pick in StarCraft 1. Never really lived up to the hype, came to StarCraft 2, didn't like Terran, switched over to Protoss. Still didn't do too much, has been rising through the ranks, slowly but surely over at SK Telecom. And here he is now, a champion of GSL, a champion of SSL, and perhaps shortly of Intel Extreme Masters as well.
Yeah, it really did take Classic a long time to get his stride in StarCraft 2, but he's absolutely found it. Towards the end of 2014 and now coming into 2015, he has definitely certified his position as one of the best Protoss players out there. PartinG, though, on the other hand, I mean, he's played in multiple finals now. He's lost a lot of finals as well, don't forget. I think he's won 5, and he's also lost 5 too, which is an insane record once he gets to the finals.
That's pretty crazy. To even get there that many times is something to be absolutely applauded. PartinG, definitely a player that will be remembered for all time already for what he's done. And here he is, possibly picking up another championship.
And now...
It's a tough one, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a very difficult one for him to do. Sending out a nice and early probe scout to try to find out where his opponent is on this 4-player map. He could spawn in any of the locations. And he's not going to find him until very, very late here, which gives Classic a chance to choose a tech choice immediately, and it perhaps might not even get scouted by the time that the probe gets up there for PartinG.
Yeah, this is one of the things that can happen on a 4-player map. If you don't find them in the first 2 spots, you don't get to scout what they're doing. And in Protoss versus Protoss, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's going to be Mothership Core chrono boosted out, and PartinG's just going to be completely in the dark. He hasn't even reached the bottom right-hand side yet. And Classic has chosen the Twilight Council.
To be fair, Classic not going to be able to scout PartinG either, most likely. Little headbutt there from the probes. PartinG quickly figuring out that he's going to have to do some sort of blanket build to try to counter whatever it is that Classic may be choosing to do, because he is not going to be able to verify it unless his Mothership Core can get in there.
Yeah, it looks like it's on its way.
Yeah, always a risk, though. You got to be very careful with that Mothership Core. You lose it early on, you're in a lot of trouble.
Well, here's Classic, who's, as we mentioned, is in such a wonderful position. He can try anything, and he's just going to open up with a Dark Templar build. He scouted his opponent last, which means he has not revealed where his probe is, and it's currently hiding away, but...
Oh, that's a big find for PartinG right there.
Yeah.
That was meant to build a proxy pylon for his Dark Templars.
Not anymore, which means he's going to have to send out another probe. And also, PartinG getting very close with his Mothership Core. He's going to try and get some information from his...
He might be waiting just to have enough to recall out of there, but that could cause a loss for him. He doesn't have any sort of detection. This Dark Shrine over halfway done. He needs to start a robo very soon if he's to hold this.
No robo yet. This is getting a little bit sticky here. Classic with a Dark Templar opening is looking like he just end this series right here. Dark Shrine finishing up. And PartinG's going to go inside. Photon Overcharge is activated to try and hide it, but PartinG's going to go for it anyway. He sees the Twilight Council, he sees the Dark Shrine, but the robotics facility, is it late? Can it be picked off?
You know what? He might want to warp in some sentries. He might want to hold position on ramp with Stalkers. He's going to have to do something here, because those Dark Templars are going to be on their way. They're being warped in right now.
Oh, there's the pylon wall.
Ooh, very well done. That does buy you a little bit of time at least.
And a sentry as well behind this.
Another good call here by PartinG. He has to do anything. He can't stop at any measure of holding these off. All right, there we go. He's doing a good job so far. Still, though, this robo not done yet.
Oh, man. He's running out of force fields. He's having to spend all his gas on sentries. He's trying to complete another wall. The cancel's up. The robotics facility is finished. Observer not out yet, though. Probes are going to die.
Okay, good force field right there. Still not any real probe deaths. Like 1 probe death so far. A couple of them starting to go down.
Oh, this is so bad for PartinG. He's just taking so much damage to slow down. He is going to deal with it eventually, but 4 pylons, a couple of probes, a sentry went down.
Canceled buildings. The fact that he had to make 3 sentries, those aren't useful units for him right now. There's not much he can do with those. This is kind of forcing him into an expansion at this point.
And we already have an Immortal out for Classic, so if there was a counter from PartinG to come, it's not really going to work against this bad boy, especially with a second on its way. But PartinG survives. He doesn't just outright die, but he's not in the best of shape either.
Hey, he has chances here still, no doubt. He does have Blink, and you know what? Sentries with Blink, you can do some very tricky things. You can use hallucinations to get in their main base. You can go ahead and force field the ramp. You can force field in or out the Immortals. And PartinG's exactly the type of guy you'd want to see try some of these very complicated and technical micro-based moves.
Dark Templar going to try harass once again. There is an Observer and 2 sentries, though, on the ramp. And it is going to be stopped. Nice trap there by PartinG. We're waiting for that. Really, really nice grab.
I think Classic, not even too sad about that. It's okay to lose that. And the fact that he sees where those sentries are.
Yeah.
He sees the Mothership cores over there. That gives him a lot of intel.
Couple of Stalkers going to poke forwards. Can't really do too much here. Try to target down the Zealot. Bring a little bit of damage to the Zealot, but nothing too much. There is an Observer now, so maybe PartinG going to try and jump into the main base to try to get some harassment done.
Yeah, well, he might be able to snipe his opponent's Observer as well. Moves like that can be quite nice.
A 4th Immortal. There's so many.
You know, I wonder, what the follow-up here for Classic might be. I would love to see him just grabbing him a Colossus, add a few gates, get really aggressive. The amount of mortals he has is something PartinG is going to be very hard-pressed to deal with if there's some way to kill force fields.
Yeah, I really like Classic's position too in the center here, preventing any units from attacking his natural, but also preventing the jump into the main as well. Catching any of the stalkers off, but PartinG trying to accelerate everything he can back at home, trying to get the Immortals out. He's got this forge down and this +1 attack. But this is a bit of a scary army that's built up by Classic.
Definitely something force fields he's going to need to help deal with it. Trying to trap these stalkers right now. PartinG could be in some trouble here.
Just a blink away.
Still retains 4 of his stalkers. He is going up 2 Colossus Tech at the moment. At home, this is his army that he has at home.
He's got a Photon Overcharge. Doesn't really have too much more than that. And Classic is putting some pressure on with these early Immortals.
And with this many force fields, he can really choose how to take this battle. He could take down this Nexus, perhaps.
Yeah, this is a sticky situation here for PartinG. And the first Immortal is going to get trapped instantly, and Classic grabs it.
Great pickoff here by Classic.
He's going to wait for Photon Overcharge to go down, and he's going to go in again. He's going to go before that.
Oh, here he goes. Goes forward. Good force fields there by PartinG. Force field walls on both sides here. Really, that Nexus cannon, the only thing keeping PartinG alive at this moment.
And Classic going to go home. Nice Immortal pick-off, though. That was a nice grab. But back on the other side of things, Classic now has his +1 attack on the way. He's now got his Robotics Bay finishing up so he can go into Colossus. But 4 extra gateways. He's very aggressive and really gunning for this win.
Well, I think that this is a fantastic way to take the win. Just make sure you keep on having more and more and more units. You know PartinG's behind in that way. How will he ever catch up if you are spending all of your money on army?
+2 attack from PartinG started nice and fast. That can be an advantage, which he may need to lean on. Will he ever get towards it, though, with Classic powering up so much? It's going to be fun to see. And also, yeah, that's a PartinG Observer coming into the main base. So this is actually a very good scout for him. PartinG goes in, sees additional gateways being added on.
Yeah, that tells him a lot. He can look at this and say, okay, so it doesn't look like you're planning on taking a third quite yet here. Definitely could be coming up in the future, though.
Yeah, he's added on 3 gateways of his own now to kind of counterbalance the production that Classic's gone for.
We do see Classic as well going for a Templar Archives. Maybe he wanted to get some Archons out as well for his army. Does have that Colossus Thermal Lance for both players on the way. Charge as well. Both going into very, very scary armies indeed.
Classic is just going to take his 3rd Nexus for now.
I think it's a good call. He's got 10 more Zealots, he's got 2 more Immortals, and they've got the same amount of probes. You may as well make that 3rd base. You know, PartinG's trying to just catch up in units right now. Can he afford to take a Nexus as well? Well, he's going to have to.
Yeah, can't fall behind in that regard either. Good denial from PartinG to prevent the scouting of Classic.
PartinG even losing that Observer. It's actually something that's kind of impactful. He needs every little ounce of gas he can get.
Yeah.
He needs all of his robo build time as well on Colossus. So to kill that off, that's a very annoying thing to replace.
And of course he wants eyes on his opponent at all times, ideally, to know where he is, when Classic's going to strike next, because Classic is still adding on a lot of units and still adding on more gateways. He hasn't really begun his probe production yet. He's just now starting a couple of extra ones. And his army is getting beefier and beefier by the minute. He's a 20 supply advantage over PartinG.
Oh man, that is a really big deal, especially when you look at what those units are in.
Yeah.
We do have Archons starting up here. PartinG the first to go for them.
Consistent waves of scouting coming out from PartinG. Just hallucinated Phoenix after hallucinated Phoenix. He needs to know exactly what Classic is up to. Classic posturing very aggressively in the center of the map now, and it looks like he's going to go for an attack. PartinG's got to find the best position. He does have an upgrade advantage for the time being. He sees this army of Classic moving across, and now he must defend not only this game, but his tournament life.
That's right. We see this string of pylons being laid up so that we can have constant reinforcements here for Classic. He's getting ready to drop the hammer right now.
Oh, look at this. Classic, though, He's actually posturing outside, but he's also got a Warp Prism with Dark Templar and Zealots going towards the main base. So he knows that the entire attention of PartinG is going to be on this fight and on this army. There is nothing inside the main base. Classic doesn't even need to fight. This is a brilliant move.
It truly is, Apollo. It looks like he's going to go ahead and deliver this drop into that main. Only a single cannon. It's not going to be able to do very much at all. And as he goes back, possibly to defend this, we can see a Classic move right up this ramp and kill that third base of PartinG.
What does PartinG do? He doesn't really know. He recalls some of the units back, but that leaves his entire army just so exposed and so weak at this moment. And this looks like it's going to be the moment that Classic just goes for it. He realizes that a lot of these units have gone back, and Classic, even though this is not the best fight to take because he's not in a good position, wants to take it, needs to take it anyway, but PartinG holds on.
Wow, really good move there by PartinG. It didn't look good at the beginning, but you know what? He's not dead yet. He's defended that drop in the main base for now. And here we go, a good time war coming down from Classic. PartinG trying to get in there, realizes he has to turn around.
Classic in between bases now. Where does he go? To the second, to the third. PartinG stuck on top of the hill, and there's still the Warp Prism around, which can continue to harass this main base. PartinG in a very, very difficult situation. How does he solve this puzzle? Units are being warped into the main base that he's got to deal with. If not, Classic is going to walk away with this. A brilliant move here by Classic, just putting him in a submission hold. PartinG, how do you even deal with this?
I don't know, man. He's sending up units to try to deal with it for now. In the meantime, Classic saying, okay, you're down even more Zealots. Going in right now. A time warp goes down on top of PartinG's whole army. The Colossus march forward, and this is it. We are going to have a new champion here at the Intel Extreme Masters as Classic going to destroy the army of PartinG and his third base.
As confident as PartinG was, not today. GG is called, and Classic takes home the title of the Intel Extreme Masters here in Shenzhen.
Absolutely phenomenal play by Classic this weekend. Looking so strong, taking out all the other top contenders. And you can see he is absolutely overjoyed with this victory. His first win overseas.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first champion of the 10th anniversary of the Intel Extreme Masters, and of course his first very own Intel Extreme Masters title. It is going to be Classic coming in as the reigning SL champion in Korea. Had a tough loss against Snoot in the group stages. Started putting some doubt back in some of the fans' minds. But he said, there's a reason people listen to me in the top 4, top 5 Protosses, even in the world. There's a reason I came in as possibly a favorite for the tournament. Here it is. And Rotterdam, no one can take this away from him. You look at the path he took here. I mean, he went through qualifiers, taking down a ton of different people, having to go through rematches, took a loss to Snoot, then went on to take down all 3 other favorites in this tournament, all 3 of the other top Protosses right now in the world, in Korea, and he rises as the champion here in Shenzhen.
Yeah, what a PvP monster, man. In the semifinals against Hero, in the group stage against Rain, and now in the final, he just picks the right builds at the right time. He just had a smarter approach to this final than PartinG had. You know, the maps or the builds that he chose for the maps that he played, it all made sense, and he had a very difficult route, and he totally deserved it. And like you said, or like Dan said as well, finally gets his first title overseas as well, and that has to feel really good. Obviously, he got those 2 really prestigious ones in Korea, but it's nice to travel and win abroad as well.
Yeah, you know, of course. I mean, yeah, you can talk about prestige in different areas and what matters, but the way that esports is right now, and some of the power words, but the way that esports is right now, it's no longer about just which region has actually the most prestige. We've become so global that it starts to matter. I mean, you look at other players, and sometimes your career is made out of only global tournaments. Maybe you've never won a championship in your own region, but then you become one of the most famous people because of how you do internationally, and now Classic is really starting to round out his resume in StarCraft 2.
And one thing that's also important to note too is he's solidifying his position in the WCS ranking as well. He came into this tournament as rank 7, and he picks up 750 points for first place, and he's almost guaranteeing himself a position at BlizzCon at the end of the year as well.
Well, let's not forget, of course, Katowice. He's guaranteed himself a position there at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships, which is always one of the best events of the year. So, I mean, Classic, this guy is really coming into his own. It took him about 6 years as a pro gamer to start really getting good, really getting those victories, but He has come all the way at this point.
Man, that must be so nice when you know you're most likely going to BlizzCon at the end of the year, so you can keep on practicing for that, and then 3-4 months after that, you've got Katowice, man. Like, this guy, he should be grinding the ladder for the next 9 months.
I mean, yeah, and to think that we're guaranteed to see him again there, and, you know, many people talk about the players who have been to Katowice before. They talk about what a great experience the world was, what a tournament was. Everyone remembers the winning moments in the finals, whoever was playing in Katowice. Of course, people are talking the most recent World Championship with Zest, but now Classic in the running for Season 10, being that Season 10 World Champion for the Intel Extreme Masters. That's an impressive first step.
Yeah, it's a very impressive step for Classic, and I want to go over what you said before as well. Is from the very beginning of the tournament, we said that there was 4 players that were going to try to make it top 4 as much as they could, depending on the bracket look, and he beat every single one of them. Yeah. And it's kind of cool that it's also so funny that it has worked out that way, that he beat them in different stages of the tournament and then took the trophy for himself at the end.
Yeah, it is funny how fate kind of worked out for Classic here. Like, literally no one can argue that, oh, well, maybe he had an easy... No, he had to battle through literally every other Titan in this tournament to get on.
And then if you think about the 4 players that we kind of categorized those 4 as the top 4, and then underneath that was TY and Lucera. Yeah. And then he beat the winner of those 2 as well.
Oh, yeah.
So he beat everybody in the correct order to get to the finals. It was a perfect tournament.
Yeah, in fact, he beat Lucera as well in the round of 8. Like, he actually went through everybody.
Yeah, he really did.
This is a super legitimate victory for Classic.
And he just won 4 maps on a row against a PartinG that was 11-0 in this tournament. So he went from 11-0 to 11-4, man. It's just a great run, honestly. It's a very, very good run. Very impressive play all weekend.
Yeah, the more we talk about it, just the more it shows what a pristine weekend it was for Classic. There were no I mean, sure, he took that loss from Snoop, but from there, he stood right back up. And yeah, even in the quarterfinals, he had to play some rematches, and he had to play a lot of matches to get through, but here he is, and I don't think anyone can take this away from him. What a start to the Intel Extreme Master season.
I loved his attitude, too. I think his attitude was really good. I mean, it's kind of a little bit difficult to see, but to not get phased by the players he's playing against and to go down in series, to pull it back and play so strong and not make mistakes and not crumble on the stage, I think that's a great attitude, and he really did display it. He was just not phased by anything and just played his best every single time.
You know, he also was saying how he really wants, if he wins against PartinG in the finals, to be thought of as the best Protoss.
Oh.
Do we have to do that now? Like, look at the guys he's been taking down.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he was like, well, you know, if they all have their nicknames, I guess I'm just Protoss itself, and I'll prove it by even taking down the Protoss God, and he's done it. Until something else proves otherwise, I think he's allowed to go on saying that about himself.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of it's going to be a lot of hype around Classic right now. Like his next tournament, I'm going to follow Classic closer than I've ever followed him before. You know, in the past, obviously, if Classic is playing as a Protoss player, you always kind of want to see what's going on. Yeah. But now I really want to follow this junior because this guy's on a roll, and I want to see, you know, till he keeps rolling.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there's so much talk within StarCraft 2 overall throughout its career so far. As a game, yeah, sure, we've had these moments where certain players dominated, but we always see them start, and then it's always a run to see how long can they go, because we haven't really seen someone who really dominated every tournament they've been in. But this year, I mean, we were first looking at Hero because he's been doing so well at WCS points, but then he gets taken out by Classic. He's just coming off of that SSL win. He's here. Most likely we'll be able to go to BlizzCon. Maybe we can have another player we can look forward to try to lead that way with the torch.
Yeah, 2 tournaments this year is a great start already. I mean, it's funny because we're so far in the year on like the calendar where you look at it, but there's really not been that many different tournaments so far. And he's picked up 2 wins, which is really, really, really impressive.
Yeah, well, that wraps it up, gentlemen. A great weekend of StarCraft 2. What a tournament. We've had a lot of fun. But of course, Intel Extreme Masters Season 10 Shenzhen itself isn't even over. We do have Heroes of the Storm coming up tomorrow. And of course, this whole stop Shenzhen is just the beginning. Classic is only the first champion in the 10th season of the Intel Extreme Masters. The brand continues, the journey continues in the second stop at Gamescom in Cologne in 2.5 weeks. Don't forget, mark it on your calendars. Tune in for Heroes of the Storm tomorrow. And hopefully, we'll see you all in Gamescom.